Okay, so the truck saga continues. I kind of feel like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. I've looked at like hundreds of trucks online, and then obviously made a criteria, wrote a list, like what are my needs, what are my wants, and I found one that I thought, oh my gosh, it checks all the boxes, and reached out to the people. We kind of haggled ahead of time, because if we're not going to be financially where I want to be, like I'm not showing up. I don't like to feel pressured, and I don't have a good skill set yet of like in the moment politely saying like, stop. So I just don't put myself in a position where I have to say stop. Anyways, so negotiate, haggle, get it down where I want it before I even see it, and tell the guy like, okay, like if this is the truck, like I'll have a cashier's check and I'll buy it on the spot. And as I'm getting to the neighborhood, I'm like, okay, I don't think I would typically buy from this kind of a dealer, but that's okay. Like, that's okay. But then something told me, like, let's reread this description one more time, because we got real excited when it met all of our boxes. And all the way down at the bottom of the description, with a tiny asterisk, it says branded title. And I would like to thank, I believe it was the Jesse Jones car show from the 90s, 2000s. I believe that's where I learned that term. It means that the car has been totaled and rebuilt. And like if I buy it, cool, but nobody's gonna buy it from me. And I probably can't even insure it. So I text the guy as I'm like in their parking lot, not getting out of my car. And I'm like, hey, is this a branded title? And he's like, yeah, we do good work. Do you? Do you? Okay. Okay. Don't feel like you were honest. Don't feel like that was properly disclosed, and it's uninsurable. And he says, I got a guy. He owns XYZ insurance. Oh, you got a guy. So now you've pretty much lied to me up front, and now you've got a guy? Cool. I'm not your girl. So I had a little secret plan in place that I had to call, put a kibosh on. And then for the first time in, I don't know how long, I went to a McDonald's and I ordered a Happy Meal, because first of all, the neighborhood I was in is like a food desert. So the only options were fast food. So I was sitting in the parking lot eating my chicken nuggies, called my brother-in-law and was like, so this is another car. And he had sent a backup the day before, and he's like, go check out the backup. So I drove 45 minutes to the other side of town after driving like the 40 minutes to this side of town, and call them, schedule the tour, get there, and just, it was the car lot. It feels like it was a big people car lot. And it felt like that, right? It felt kind of cold and kind of like sterile, but whatever. So made sure that Miss Sage Amelia, who is sitting right here, could hop into this bigger truck. It was a bit of a stretch. We'll have to practice that. I might have to buy her own stool. I'm gonna need my own stool. Anyways, side topic. So as I'm driving this 2022 F-250, it's like lurching forward. My 2004 F-150 does not lurch, and she's got 250,000 miles. So I'm kind of like, okay, is this because it's a 250 and I don't know how they're supposed to drive? And then I took a left turn and like my seat shook, and like I don't think that's normal. So there was a female who was like with me as my salesperson, and unfortunately she seemed kind of new in her role and she couldn't answer simple questions. And I do applaud, like her answer was, I don't know that, I can find out. But after the third I don't know, can I just get somebody who does know? Because this is a big purchase for me. Anyways, so energetically it felt off. Even if that is how an F-250 is supposed to drive, then maybe I don't want a 250. Like I don't want to feel like I'm going up a roller coaster just driving down the road. So call my brother-in-law again, and I'm like, listen, the only way I'm gonna know how it's supposed to drive is if I drive one that's new. But I've driven now, by this course in time, like 4 hours all across town, and I'm annoyed. So I'm like, I'm gonna go home. Like, this is a problem for another day, whatever. Then I realized, wait a minute, there's a car lot like 2 blocks from me, but they don't always have a lot of cars. Like, I don't know how that works. So let me call them. I'll schedule it for another day. And this chick answers, who's super cool. And she's like, oh yeah, we don't keep the trucks on property. Like, it's such a small property there. I got to go get one. How fast can you be here? Blah, 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 blah. I just kind of gave her like my quick specs, right? I roll up with Sage Amelia and I tell her, like, I'm bringing my dog. I got to make sure she can get in and out of this truck. Coolest chick ever. And I'm telling her, like, as a female, I feel more pressure to back up better, pull out faster. Like, oh God, all of that sounds, because I feel like as a female, men would want to come and help me. And I'm still learning and I want to learn and I want to make mistakes and I do appreciate help. This is not me saying men don't help. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is they would probably let a dude try 10 more times before they offered help. And maybe I could have gotten it on the 9th time by myself. So I'm explaining to her, like, I want to be a badass. I want to be the girl that they're like, man, look at her go. So she's like, well, how do you back up right now? And I was like, well, actually, I figured out on my back window seal where the hitch is, and I just put a little sticker there. So as long as that sticker is lined up, like I'm lined up. She was like, ma'am, I have been hauling horse trailers my whole life and never thought of that. Like, good on you. But you know, like, you just got to do what works for you. I digress. So we go on this tour and I'm test driving and all I can think is, why are you trying on a wedding dress you can't afford? Because I'm in love. I'm in love with this F-250, brand spanking new, and I've never owned a new vehicle. Like of this caliber, right? Everything's been pre-owned. So we're talking and just going back and forth and talking about my needs, and I don't know a lot about diesel, and so she's kind of explaining diesel to me and explaining it in a way that's not rude or condescending, and just like this is why it matters, this is how, move on, right? Like, I don't need to be a mechanic. I don't want to be a mechanic. I just want to know why it's the better choice. Anyways, so I'm buying a brand new truck. It is double the budget, double the budget, double the budget. But it's the best choice. But I am very frugal, which you would not think having an Airstream. But I realized I have a very clear delineation in, like, a luxury item should be expensive. Like, getting the opportunity to go camping in a camper is a luxury. I'm a tent camper by childhood. And so spending money on an Airstream was like, well, it's already luxury, just go luxury. But to me, spending luxury money on a daily utilitarian need, like a vehicle, feels incredibly extravagant. And it feels somehow like I'm betraying part of who I am. Because I like to believe that I'm more thoughtful than that. I don't know, but then it sounds like I'm judging people who like nice things, and I like nice things. I mean, it's just a weird moment happening in my body. And I spoke to some family members who just had really beautiful, kind things to say about, I'm gonna cry, about where my life was and where it is. And holy moly, y'all, I'm buying a brand new truck, and I can. And if you told me 6 years ago that this would be my life, many of you did. Many of you told me better times were coming, and I didn't really believe you. Like, I heard you, and I held on as best I could. Well, this is it. I'm living in those better times. I don't know why I'm crying so much. It's so wonderful. Thank God I haven't done my makeup yet. This is supposed to be about trucks, but it's never about what it's about, right? So, to everyone who 6 years ago, 7 years ago told me it would get better, God, you're right. And so if anybody out there is wondering if it gets better, it does. And I can't wait to show you my new truck.